What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Before we get into today's show, let me just state, an explanation as to why there hasn't been as much content on the channel. I've just been busy. I had a wedding to go to last weekend. The holiday season's kind of gearing up, so I've just been, having my hands full. I do want to still put out a Black Panther Wakanda Forever review and a God of War Ragnarok review. It's just I have no time. Still trying to keep up with some of the news. It's just been a hassle. So I don't know. It's my fault, but I'm trying to get things rolling. I do have a couple videos in December that are kind of major. I do want to make a review of Phase 4 MCU, kind of compare it to DC. Also want to do like the top 10 games of the year, things like that I really want to dive some time into for December. But I don't know. And last weekend I didn't put the podcast out because of the wedding, so it's just there really wasn't too much news anyway. But this week we got a little bit to talk about. We got a little bit to go over. Starting off, I do want to talk about these Netflix adaptations. So we have 15 Netflix adaptations in the works. One of which being, we have like Assassin's Creed, we have BioShock, which we'll get into in a little bit. But the one I want to talk about right now is the Gears of War adaptations. So not only are we getting the full film, which I'm curious to see who they cast in it. I've heard a bunch of names like Terry Crews, Dave Bautista, Chris Pratt, even though some people don't want him involved in the movie for some reason. I think people are just Chris Pratted out for some reason. I don't know. I like Chris Pratt. I like most of the things he puts out, but yeah, they want him to stay away from it. But I don't know. I'm curious to see who they cast. Terry Crews would be awesome, but there's a long list. It's kind of not a misogynistic, a masculine movie. It's kind of like on the lines of Top Gun. So they could get, they could go kind of like the Expendables route with it. Kind of get these hardcore action stars. That would be awesome. But also the animation. Like Cyberpunk 2077 did amazing, so I can only imagine really what they could do with the Gears of War IP in either an anime or an actual like American animation style. What they could actually bolster up. I'd be really curious to watch that. So, but as for BioShock, I mean, the director, he's praising that is probably some of the greatest games created, which I don't know if that's, they're great games. I don't know if it's the greatest game ever created. There's only 3 games, and really the first 2 are the same. I don't know. It's up to the gamer, the individual gamer who thinks what of BioShock, but I don't know. I'm kind of nervous the way that they did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was just not into it. Thought they kind of botched that from the beginning. To have this BioShock movie, a Gears of War movie. I have more faith in Gears of War for some reason, but BioShock it's a real niche genre. It's horror, but it's action, but it's like psychological horror at the same time. So I don't know. You really gotta nail it, And if they're not gonna nail it, you might as well not fucking do it. That's the way I think. And just with the way that they've been treating some things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Resident Evil, the show, and I guess the movie wasn't on Netflix, but the movie was pretty bad. Like, adaptations are just not getting a good service. You had Uncharted, that was not Nathan Drake and Sully. That was terrible. I don't know. I'm not agreeing with what, you notice Hollywood isn't the main entertainment focus anymore. So they're just like taking gaming and adapting it to these films. But the problem is, if they're going to try and put their own spin on it, there's just no point. Just stop. Don't make it, But if you're going to legit, make a decent adaptation, that's literally a gold mine. It is a gold mine. To make a BioShock trilogy, you would and make it right? Oh my god. That'd be so awesome, I just don't have too much faith in Netflix, to be honest, but we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. We got a John Wick 4 trailer. I put a reaction video out. It's doing actually pretty good. Got over 1,000 views. Looks amazing. Can't wait to see Keanu Reeves fight Pennywise. with Bill Skarsgård. It's gonna be awesome. I cannot wait to see it. I can't wait to give you guys a review. It's gonna be phenomenal. I don't think it's gonna top the third. You know, John Wick 3 was the shit for me. It was just amazing. Peak John Wick. I rewatched that movie so many times, but I don't think it's gonna top it. I think John Wick 4 is gonna be awesome, but I don't know if I don't know. It has a really good cast, but we're just gonna have to wait and find out. Maybe I'll eat my words, you know, and say it's the greatest John Wick movie ever. Speaking of Ken Reeves news, the director of Constantine 2, if you guys didn't know, Constantine 2 is getting a sequel. Ken Reeves is reprising the role, which is awesome, and the director actually wants a rated R film to be made, which is awesome. I think Constantine works better as a rated R movie because he's dark, he's moody, he's gritty, you know, and I think that would work really well, especially with demons, what they could do with the demonology in it, make it a true horror movie. And I got to thinking, I'm like, okay, so I know a lot of people have been comparing Dr. Fate to Doctor Strange for obvious reasons. They're both doctors, they both can see in the future, they got some kind of like mystical powers, but to me, personally, I've always thought of Constantine as being DC's Doctor Strange. I've always thought that. I don't even know who Dr. Fate is up until the Black Adam movie. So I think if we're going to compare the two, I think it should be Constantine 2, right? And then you have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because they're both going for a dark horror movie type of feel. And if they actually nab the rated R rating, then I think it's just going to be phenomenal. And they're going to show Marvel how you do mysticology, you know? Like, they fucked it up. They fucked up Multiverse of Madness by putting multiverse in the title, you know? It was just a disappointment, but that's just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Constantine 2 going rated R. Do you not want that? Do you want a PG-13 Constantine, kind of like on the lighter side? Let me know. Moving on, this is actually a big one. This was a big news story. I can't remember if I actually made a video or not about it, but I did make a short on the topic. So there's just been a lot of speculation around a PlayStation 5 Slim potentially launching next year in 2023, like the holiday season. Honestly, I don't care. You know, I have my PlayStation 5. I've had it for since last February or so, and it's been great. It's been awesome. I've had no issues, but I just don't need to upgrade. You know, I don't need to upgrade, and I feel like a lot of people that have a PlayStation 5 are gonna be in the same boat. Like, I don't know. At the same time, it's kind of terrible. You know, can you imagine finally getting a PlayStation 5 and then the next day you got a Slim on the market? It's that sucks, you know. It does, but I feel like that's worse than the people that they literally cannot find a PlayStation, and then this comes out, they're like, cool, at least when I'll get one, it'll be the new one, you know. Which honestly, I know people are still going crazy about the shortage on PlayStation 5s, but I see them constantly. You know, I haven't seen one yet in a Walmart, but GameStop always has about 3 or 4. So I don't know, and I'm kind of like in the middle of nowhere, so I don't understand how people in LA and New York and in these major states, how they cannot find one. You would imagine they would be some of the first people to get access to a PlayStation 5, right? So I don't know how that works, but I don't know. I think if I'm ever gonna get a new one, it's gonna be years down the road, just for space concerns, you know, because the PS5 is pretty bulky in my entertainment system. Like, it's got about 3 to 4 inches of room, and that's just not ideal, you know. You know, it's not as bad as the Xbox, where it literally cannot fit and I have to put it behind the TV, but you know, it would be cool to get a Slim. I want to see what they do with it, because I know it got roasted for looking like a modem, and it would be really nice if it just, you know, kind of leaned up, just tightened a little bit. Doesn't look as much like a PC rig, which I don't know. They both look kind of wonky. You know, they don't look like the traditional consoles that we come to kind of understand. They look like mini PCs, which I mean, when I actually do compare it to my PC, the Xbox Series X is nothing compared to a PC. So that argument, it just like went out the fucking window when I made my PC, which it is kind of like a medium tier PC. So I guess it's a little bit bigger than normal, but I don't know. It's just side by side, it's like 35% smaller. You know, it's not like humongous, but it just looks odd, you know. But I can't wait to see what happens, what the price is. Hopefully it's they can make a price cut by then. Hopefully, maybe, you know, bring it down to 400, you know, for manufacturing purposes or something. They need to do something, because you have to justify upgrading at the same time as justifying to someone else that is just now buying into PlayStation 5 why it's awesome. You know, even if they haven't gotten access to one, they're like, well, this is the new one and it's better because of this, you know. So I don't know. But the Game Awards, we got the Game Awards. That's I can't wait to live stream that with you guys. Talk about that. That's gonna be awesome. Honestly, I'm just not too hyped though. Like I casted my vote. I was gonna make a video, but then as I started making it, I'm like, this is literally just God of War. Like half of the categories is God of War, and it's like the first 10. So it's just like the video is just like God of War, God of War. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It was like I don't know. They lumped God of War with no competition. Like most of the time it was just God of War and a couple indie games, or like Call of Duty maybe, or something. And it's just, I don't know. There's just been a lack of games. I think it would have been more interesting if we got, you know, Microsoft's Starfield, if that came out, and then it was like God of War versus Starfield for Game of the Year. But right now it's Elden Ring and God of War, which they're not really comparable games. You know, you wouldn't compare God of War 2018 to Demon Souls or vice versa. So I don't understand why we just don't have any games. We don't have anything to compare to God of War. It's like, what's the last decent game that everybody loved? Oh, Elden Ring. And it's like, well, and then you make these comparisons that's just not the same game. It's not the same genre. One's an action adventure, one's a straight RPG Souls-like genre. You know, like, I don't know. It's a little pointless, but I do think God of War is going to win just because it had a gripping story. You know, the gameplay was smooth. It looks like the graphics themselves look phenomenal. You know, there's too much going with God of War, and the reviews just going crazy with 9 out of 10s and 9.5s. I don't know. I don't see God of War losing, but it's going to be interesting to see if it does. If someone trumps God of War, I'll be really impressed. I do want to see the announcements, see what happens, see what we get to see, but other than that, I'm not super hyped for the Game Awards, but I am at the same time. I just like watching it. You know, I just like watching it like Sunday football. You know, just put it on and just have a little good hour or two of gaming. You know, we don't get a lot of gaming industry content, you know, so this is nice. What's the next news story that I had lined up for you guys? Oh, the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie apparently is canceled. If you guys didn't know, Margot Robbie I don't remember when it got announced, but Margot Robbie is apparently replacing Johnny Depp in a predominantly female Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and it's canceled according to her. So I don't know. I feel like Hollywood is finally taking that. Oh my god, sorry about that. I feel like Hollywood is finally taking the hint that people don't want these full, you know, female-centric movies. And it's like, it's one of those things where no one's going to admit to saying, I don't want a female-centric Pirates of the Caribbean, but nobody really does. And it's also what comes with the territory in that sentence, you know, because if you have a female-centric Pirates of the Caribbean, okay, I know Margot Robbie, I like her movies, I like her as an actress, but then who else are you putting in there with her? And if they're not notable, that means she's gonna have to hold this whole movie up on her fucking shelves. So I don't know. it just doesn't seem right, you know. And better castings have, you know, fallen. Like if you look at the Ghostbusters cast, I liked all those actresses, but that movie flopped. You had the Ocean's 12 or something that was a female-centric Ocean's movie. You had M115 or whatever that flopped. They're just not, you know, they're just not doing it. And it's, for me, it's unrealistic sometimes. You know, you see a bunch of female characters outdoing men. It gets old. It's not really what I want to see anyway, if you just want to be honest, you know. And if we're talking a Pirates movie with mostly females and a couple guys that are just like dumbasses and get roasted the whole movie, does that sound like something I want to watch? Not really. Would I watch it? Maybe. Not in theaters, you know, but I don't know. It's just Johnny Depp is the heart and soul of Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just, you cannot deny that. He is the heart of the series. You take him out, what do you have? You know, what do you really have? You know, you would then need a stellar cast, a group of phenomenal writers, and I don't think Hollywood has that. I don't think they really know what the fuck to do. I don't think they know what to, like, who to cast. I don't think they know, you know, they don't really have writers that know what the fuck they're doing on most cases. Like most movies I watch nowadays, the writing is not good, and it's really sad to see. And then you see in the news headlines, well, you know, Hollywood is hiring woke writers for, you know, so they don't get bitched at by the communities and all this. And I'm like, that's so stupid. Why would you not buy into a good writer, you know, that has a full list of accolades, my bad, of, you know, multiple projects that you've been, like, if I went for a casting audition and I didn't have anything on my belt, you know, then what would you expect? You know, you're literally going off of a couple details. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense why you take someone that hasn't done anything in their life and put them in charge of a giant project. You know, what fucking balls do you have to do that? You know, I'd be so uncomfortable trying to do like a Resident Evil or a Lord of the Rings, anything. You know, any major franchise you can think of. I would not want to be the main writer. You know, I would not want to be the main guy in charge of the shit with nothing on my belt other than maybe like this sitcom or this you know, this animated indie film or this. Like, I would not want to do it. I would be like, I need to go make a movie first. I want to make something that I can reference to, and not, like, you know, it just doesn't make sense why you put people that don't know what the fuck they're doing in charge of giant projects. It's very frustrating. You know, I have not gotten through the first episode of the Rings of Power or whatever. It's literally just dragged on. Every time I watch it, I get like 20 more minutes in than usual, and I just fall asleep, or I just turn it off, or I just don't want to watch it, you know? And it's really depressing because I love Lord of the Rings. I haven't been like a super Lord of the Rings nerd, but, you know, I enjoy it, and I like the story and the lore and the characters, and this just is not doing it, you know? But I don't know. We're just going to have to wait. But we're not getting a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, that's for sure. What else was there? There wasn't too much. I knew this was going to be kind of like a shorter podcast. Blumhouse, we got a horror merger between James Wan, his studio, and Jason Blum, which I didn't know. I was unfamiliar with this. I didn't know that Blumhouse was in charge, like, had one guy at the top and his last name was Blum. I didn't know that, so that's very interesting. But I'm curious to see what they form together. I think I like almost every one of James Wan, I hope I'm saying that right, James Wan's movies. Even Dead Silence, even though that's not a perfect movie, you can just see his aspirations from going from that to Annabelle. It's really cool to look at that, because you see a movie from 2007 and then you see where he's at now, and you can kind of compare. So I like everything he's usually involved with. You know, Malignant, I cannot remember the name of that fucking movie. I don't know what it is. I keep saying Malignant, Malignant, a ligament. I don't know, but be very interesting to see where all of this goes. Blumhouse hasn't made anything in a while, so what was the last thing Blumhouse made? Let's actually look that up. See what Blumhouse is doing. Blumhouse Productions. Just because I'm curious as hell. Wow. They haven't made much, that's for sure. So they made Halloween Ends, which is depressing. I haven't seen Vengeance yet. I need to watch that. That's a Blumhouse movie? Okay. The Black Phone wasn't terrible, but that was disappointing. Definitely. Firestarter, awesome. We did actually just watch that, by the way. Firestarter was pretty awesome. Made me laugh a couple times, which I did not expect, with the cat and everything. My girlfriend was crazy when that happened. She was like, that was so unnecessary. But yeah, I don't know. They haven't made anything. They made the Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. That was wasn't terrible, I guess. They just haven't made anything for me in the past couple years. The Invisible Man was kind of I didn't really get through that, even though I like that actor. I think she played in American Pie, if I got that correct. Fantasy Island was fucking trash. I did not get into that. They got something called Nanny. Don't know what that is. That Megan movie looks interesting, but also looks almost too funny at times. Insidious, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be fucking awesome. Insidious, Fear the Dark. I think, Patrick Wilson is directing it too. That's his directorial debut. I cannot wait for that fucking movie, man. I love Insidious. That's such a creepy movie for being PG-13 that I always give it credit, And they're making The Exorcist. Well, they haven't said too much. Is it supposed to be a prequel? What's happening up there? Oh, it's a direct sequel to the 1973 film. Interesting. Okay, so I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes, but yeah, there really wasn't too much news other than that. I mean, we do have this word on the Xbox Series C, which is interesting, like the concept, but it's not for me. I think we're about 10 to 15 years behind the whole cloud gaming shtick, whatever you want to say. But I always thought it was a cool name, Xbox Series C rolls off the tongue pretty nice, but I don't know. It's not for me. I don't know why they showed it in that podcast, like teased it on Phil Spencer's like shelf, but I don't know. The Series C is apparently not it just, the budgeting will not work for it. Like they wanted to make a price point of I think it was like 100 to 130, and they couldn't hit that, so it's not going to happen. But I'm sure in the future it'll be perfectly, like, can you imagine when it's just cloud gaming and you go out and you pick up an Xbox for $150, like just straight off the bat? That would be crazy. It would definitely make gaming more expanded upon, like most people would then have an Xbox. Like the way that everybody has a cell phone, everybody would have an Xbox. Everybody would have a PlayStation, which is crazy. That's the future we're going towards. But I don't know. I think we're a ways off, before it's subscription models and cloud gaming, but we're just gonna have to wait. I don't know what the future is. I'm not a fucking fortune teller, but I do expect this within like 10, 15 years, maybe the next generation. Wouldn't that be a big ass flop if the next generation gaming kind of like started to die because they just went all digital, and nobody was for it? That would be really interesting, I'd say. And then we had some news that came out today. which I was gonna make a video, but there's just not enough news, you know. Which I'm probably gonna make a decent video either tomorrow or Monday, which is should be pretty interesting. But I don't know if these topics are really that interesting. Like Dead Island 2 got a delay. How much can I talk about Dead Island? You know, like Dead Island 2. I mean, yeah, it's funny. It's funny that, you know, it's gotten delay after delay after delay, and now it's yet again got another delay. But I mean, who cares? Do you want the game to come out fucking half baked? You don't. You want a good game. I get it. Why wouldn't you? Just wait it out. But honestly, I do think it's probably the timing. I feel like there's just way too much coming out in February where they're just like, we cannot compete. You know, we want this game to do good. Let's put it in April. April, almost May. And we should be good, you know. Hopefully it does good. Hopefully the gore mechanics are just phenomenal and just really detailed, you know, as much as they have been kind of like hyping it up, you know. And with Deep Silver kind of flopping with Saints Row, I think this is a need. Like, they need this game to do decent, you know. And, you know, I don't know if this trumps Dying Light. If this just trumps Dying Light, it's gonna be incredible to see where Dead Island goes, because that sequel back in the day, Riptide, was so disappointing, and they just, I don't know, it had a lot of potential. The series, and this looks like the greatest. I don't know, it just looks like they're really diving deep into what, like, it's going past just a melee combat system, you know. And I always wanted them to do that. You know, that was the one gripe that I had with Dying Light, was there really wasn't too much. It was just kind of like this melee action adventure game, you know. There's no guns really involved, where Dead Island had guns, but it was just at the end, you know, and you had lack of ammo, which was kind of annoying. But, you know, it'd be really interesting to see what they do with this game. I'm hyped. I'm gonna get it day one, just because I love Dead Island, and we've literally been waiting a decade, it feels like. So I don't know, we'll just have to wait and find out. We also got some Splinter Cell concept art, which, I mean, it's Splinter Cell. We really don't have much, you know. The game just got in development probably 8 months ago, maybe even less. But it's gonna be a reboot. It's gonna be kind of like, I wonder what they're gonna do though. Is it gonna be kind of like, could you do a side-by-side comparison of the original Splinter Cell and then this, or is it gonna be in a completely different direction, you know? I'm very curious. But I don't know, I just want to play a good stealth game. I feel like there hasn't been a good stealth game in forever. I was not into Metal Gear Solid 5. I know some people were, and I get shit for it all the time from my friends, because it is a really good Metal Gear game. It's just riddled with shit I do not like, and I did not expect. Like, I liked Ground Zeroes. That was awesome. I played the fuck out of that, but then it went way too far out there, and it became a different game in Phantom Pain. So I don't know. I'm dry on the stealth games. I need some stealth in my life, you know. Give me some fucking stealth, Ubisoft. And then we got actually pretty surprising news, which I think I'm probably gonna end the podcast on, because there really is nothing to talk about. But hopefully next week we'll have a lot more, and it'll be structured a little bit better. But ending the show off, we're going to talk about the Xbox Series S. So it's going to get a $250 holiday price, which is crazy. So it's getting a $50 price drop throughout. I think it might even be right now, but don't hold me to that. It might be Black Friday on. But yeah, check it out. $250 to get kind of like introduced to the next gen hardware. You know, you can't beat that. I mean, $250 plus Game Pass, so you get $300 and you get a shitload of games for an entire year. That would be awesome. Well, not a year, but close to, you know. So I don't know. I think this is mainly to do with the fact Xbox and Microsoft, they just don't have exclusives. They don't have any games. They don't have enough content to justify buying a console. You know, if you already don't have one, there really isn't a reason to get one. You know, I think I have maybe like 6 or 7 games for my Xbox Series X. That's just kind of depressing, you know? So I don't know how I feel about that. I just was it a waste? Kinda, but it's nice when you can play a Blu-ray, because it's weird how you have to, like, for your PlayStation 5, the disc has to be in the system to download it or update it. I don't know about updating, but like the initial download, you need the disc in. So usually I'll play a movie on my Xbox while it downloads, so that's convenient, you know. But other than that, it's just like Game Pass once in a while. Like Dark Tide, I'm gonna pick up Dark Tide when that releases at the end of this month. But other than that, I mean, it's okay. It's not terrible. I like my Xbox, but I don't know. The Series S never was really for me personally. I mean, maybe if I had a house and, you know, could put the Series S in the living room and put my Series X in the bedroom or something, maybe then it makes a little bit of sense. But that's a privileged ass fucking setup. I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you have 2 Xboxes in your house, next gen Xboxes, that's crazy. But I don't know, maybe one day. But yeah, $250, you can't beat that price. It's, especially if you haven't gotten into either, like you haven't gotten a Series X, you haven't gotten a PS5, and then you see this, maybe this is a way to get into it, you know, play a couple games, get Starfield, you know. I do think this is gonna hold gaming back a little bit in the coming years, you know, when everybody has the Series S, and because I don't know how this is gonna work out, because the Series S is still outselling the X. Obviously the price is doing that, you know, but I just don't know what is the future of gaming in this generation. Like, is the PS5 really gonna get advanced versions compared to the Xboxes? Because I don't know, that's just confusing, you know. So like, if you get an Xbox Series X and S game, does that mean that it just upgrades to an X and then it has the minimum, you know, S requirements? You know, it's kind of confusing, but I do think that's the way to go, versus, you know, PlayStation's PS4 disc upgrade thing. It's just really confusing. I've never gotten into it. That's why I didn't, like, I literally took a break from gaming because it just sounded like a bunch of bullshit to me. I was like, oh yeah, let's just buy this game now and I'll upgrade it later. Bullshit. Like, that was my initial thoughts, and now I'm kind of like thinking through it, and I'm like, I don't know, I just don't fuck with it. Let me just buy the game, you know. And that's why I took a break. I took like a year and a half break, played a lot of backlog games, and waited till I could get a PS5. So I don't know. Or just let me know if you guys get one, you know, if you pick up an Xbox Series S for $250, because that's it's a deal you can't fucking pass up on. If you haven't been able to get anything, that's a good deal. Anyway, guys, that's today's show. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to join the Wolfpack. Next week should be a lot better structured and just better overall. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to put out as much content as I've been wanting to. It's just been, I've been swamped, you know, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. So hopefully you guys can understand what it's like. Anyway, see you guys later. Peace.
You